Hey everyone, welcome back to the Secret Invasion discussion. Today we're going to be talking about episode 4 with the two guys who actually enjoyed the episode. Hassan ducked out because he's a little... Censor that! Anyway. Before in this, I'm going to preface this real quick. If you've missed our other video, there is a current strike going on, which is prohibiting promotion of certain projects. Basically, if we are unpaid to do said project, technically we're not crossing any picket lines or doing anything wrong. We're going to continue to talk about the shows on a review basis until we see something that says otherwise. But we've done our research. We have looked into it. We did a whole video on our current stance on it.
So check it out.
Until otherwise, we're going to continue to review shows as normal and basically play it by ear by what the union says to do for non-union members and all that other stuff.
Exactly.
Figure we should probably preface videos with that kind of
I think that's a
moment.
fair point because we're not getting paid by Disney to do this. If at any point Disney reaches out and says like, "Hey, you're doing a great job. We loved your Secret Invasion episode," we're gonna stop doing Secret Invasion episodes
because that's just how we are right now until that strike is resolved. Now, anyway,
according to the letter of the of SAG and WGA's like statements, like that's according to their stuff, but who knows?
So anyway, episode 4. This was interesting. I actually liked where it went, and I felt like we got moving a lot quicker than we had in previous episodes.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I want to state one thing, Sal. Everyone's like, Betty, what do you mean there's no superhero? Rhodey's there. No, that's not a freaking superhero. Iron Man, I'm saying this for Iron Man too. Iron Man and War Machine and Ironheart don't count if they're not suiting up.
Right.
I don't want to see Robert Downey Jr. and what's the actor's name? I just know him as Rhodey.
Oh, Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle, that's who it is. They don't count as superheroes if they're just walking around in suits.
Yes, Tony Stark and Jim Rhodes, they're superheroes in their own right. We're talking about in a superhero show, superhero costumes and superheroics like happening. You know, Jim Rhodes being a character in the show is great, and it's a good idea, and I'm glad that it happened.
100%.
And the twists and turns in this episode, everyone can see it from a mile away. But until War Machine's out, no superheroes have appeared in the show. No.
So anyway, let's start with that because I'm pretty sure that's what the show. I won't lie. The first 10 minutes, I was kind of zoned out. I popped it on, and I'm like, here we go. We first get the reveal that Emilia Clarke's Gaia, survives. I'm assuming she's got the Super Skrull syndrome.
She did the physiology change. She grew her extremis heart back or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, because they showed later like that in full action as well when Gravik got shot in the head. Like finally, someone in the MCU went for the headshot.
Right? No, seriously. But we got an inkling of that because when Talos hits him in the hand with the knife, he pulls it out, grows it back. Extremis. I mean, they seem to be relying a lot on Extremis, but we did see a couple of things, and it's so frustrating to see Super Skrulling and to be like, yes, I stretch like Groot, and I flame on like Extremis. Like, damn it, come on. And I'm rocks like Korg. You know, I'm waiting for the other 50% of the powers to show up, but it's just like
it's the if you don't know in the comics, it's the Fantastic Four's powers that they're supposed to be using.
Yeah, that's Super Skrull. And it's like, I get it, it's like, I can imagine them going, we should save Super Skrull for later. We have all the Fox properties, we could do it. And they go, this is the only Skrull property we're going to do. Like, we're not doing more Skrulls after this.
I don't know. If you were watching live, Hassan just popped in to say hi, Iran. Apparently, we don't know what that was.
No. But yeah,
anyway.
like, they're going to be like, this is the only Skrull thing we're going to do. Don't worry about it.
Right.
If you're going to do Super Skrull, you better do it now.
Sadly, I feel like Skrulls are getting shuffled off to where the Inhumans have gone.
Yeah.
Where they're literally just not getting mentioned anymore for the
Which
Inhumans.
is a shame, because, like, it's working. This episode, the Skrulling was really cool. There were a couple of things I had, like, the fate of Talos. I was like, don't do that. Like, come on. The whole damn show's been about that. But I guess I understand because, like, the twist for Gaia is happening. The thing we all kind of expected from the beginning of the episode.
There's no way Emilia Clarke got that small of a role and then just got murdered off. Like, oh, she's our mole.
Yeah, no, she's gonna kill Gravik and become the leader of the Skrulls. Like, I know.
Oh, yeah. She's gonna be the new queen. Yep.
And I'm glad that it's building towards that. Like, it's engaging. And the whole time I'm watching the show, I watched it, there was the sadness of Nick Fury and his wife. And I'm like, yeah,
that was really powerful. I want to, let's go to that real quick. I love the history of them, who they are. It was super powerful. The way the acting was just explicit, not explicit. Just it was great. It was really good. And I loved the almost Mr. and Mrs. Smith style gunshot that missed.
I know, that was nice. I was like, because I just expected Fury to just kill her, and it was like, no. And then I'm like, okay, that's nice. Like that way, Priscilla can probably get killed by Gravik later. I don't remember if she dies at the end of this episode, but there's no way she's making it out of the show alive.
No, I really liked that. I also like that seemingly has woken up Fury to be Fury, because the first time that he felt like Fury is when he brought the bourbon to Rhodey. So at this point, we've now
that was a great scene too.
Yeah, because at this point now, Rhodey is we know for a fact he's a villain. We were all kind of assuming that.
Yeah.
But we know for a fact he's working for Gravik, and he is just a Skrull. And I do like once that was revealed, he just straight went evil. Like every comment, everything is like, no, that is not Rhodey. And if you think that's Rhodey, you're stupid.
Yeah, but it's also really cool because it's good for Don Cheadle, because like Rhodey's a fun character, but he hasn't been given a lot of juicy stuff to do since his debut in Iron Man 2. And I'm kind of like, this is cool because he gets to play a very different person. He gets to play like a real monster version of Rhodey, which is awesome, because then Rhodey's going to come back and be like, what?
That's what I'm waiting for. I'm hoping for him and for, I can't remember his name again.
Hill. Oh.
Well, Maria Hill. No, I feel like she's actually dead. I feel like
I think it's all like
all smoke and mirrors.
I think it's all smoke and mirrors. I think she'll be back. I think Fury. I think that it's the whole thing was like made up to
the guy at the
look
beginning.
like
who is? I always forget his name.
What? Talos?
No. The very first guy that got shot turned out to be a Skrull.
Oh, Martin Freeman.
Yeah, Martin Freeman's character.
Yes.
I feel like they're all gonna come back though. I do feel like maybe Hill's dead, but we'll see. Well, I mean, you can't really throw it out there at all at this point.
It's true. No, like anything could happen, which is kind of a fun aspect of the show. But this episode felt like, it's funny because not a lot happened in the first 3 episodes. This episode a little bit more did. It got a lot more ramped up, and I'm just kind of like, you don't have to follow a formula. This show could be 3 episodes. It doesn't have to be 6 or 8 or 29. Like it could just be however many it needs to be. But each episode is an hour, and there's
this
a slow burn.
This was 35 minutes.
I know. It's like the last 3 were 55 minutes,
and they were slow. Too slow is the issue. It felt way too stretched out. Because this episode felt great when this ended. What was the cliffhanger it ended on? It ended on a pretty solid cliffhanger. I remember that.
The last one?
No, this one right here.
Talos died.
Yeah, Talos got killed in the big battle which was a pretty cool scene.
It was a pretty cool scene.
It was a pretty cool scene considering there was no powers or anything really in it. It was
just what things are like when the Avengers don't show up. Like, oh no.
And then he drove off, and I think that's where we left it, right? He had the president.
He had the president, and I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's where it ended. But and I remember it being like, "That's it? We're done?" Like what?
Yeah, yeah. He's got the president. I'm like, okay, is the president a Skrull too?
I don't know at this point. I don't think so, based on everything that's gone on.
Yeah.
Like, they're definitely not acting like the president was a Skrull.
No, but the president is gonna, I don't think he's making it out of the show alive.
My only problem with that sequence there was Talos's death, actually. Okay?
Yeah.
Talos's death was great. It was really moving. He Fury protected him at the ending, which I really liked.
I was really sad that I left him. He left his body. You're like,
yeah,
man.
And you saw him turn back, and then we panned on to. This is the first time one of the deaths felt like it's probably going to stick because of the send off they gave him.
Yeah.
But the only problem I had with it was that I got a feeling it was a combination of the set piece, the makeup that he was probably wearing, the actor who plays him. When he's trying to smash the window, it didn't feel. It just felt like clumsily, like. Ugh,
it was weird because I'm like, I know that it was supposed to be a display of strength, but it was a little long.
Yeah, it was going over. It was smashing it for so long.
Yeah, and I know it's like he's dying, but it's like, I don't know. It was a little much.
But I really liked the sequence. I loved the Rhodey sequence with Fury. I loved the idea that the bourbon was a tracer. The bourbon itself wasn't a poison, wasn't anything, just straight up.
Yeah, no, it's great. That was so smart. And so Fury. I was like, yes, this is the show.
So I'm really excited where it's going because finally Fury feels like Fury. I feel like it just took, as I've said with every one of these Disney Plus projects, Sal.
I know.
It took too long to get there. It's a 3-episode show that they've stretched into 6.
Yeah.
At least these ones are shorter episodes. At least.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's the problem is there seems to be a formula with the Disney Plus Marvel shows, and it's like they need to break with formula because we can't have 3 episodes of wheel spinning, then plot, and then 2 episodes or fewer where it's a big action sequence.
Yeah.
Or a big climactic fight that like sets up the next thing. You know?
It's the same issue we've had in all of them at this point. Like it's the formula. Like the MCU found a formula for their movies, which everyone's crapping on now, and the shows feel like they're getting a very similar formalized kind of like pattern. Like Falcon Winter Soldier, I remember just took a little too long to get to where it was going. Moon Knight took a little too long to get to where it's going. The best one, in my opinion, is still WandaVision, and I still complain that the first 2 episodes are way too what the hell's going on, it doesn't matter, and they're drawn out.
The thing with the WandaVision comparison, because I do appreciate, like, I remember the first 2 episodes, I was like, this is they're really committing to the bit, you know?
Yeah.
But it was the first one. It wasn't meant to be, but it was the first one they debuted, and you're like, I'm just so excited to get it, you know?
Yeah.
But at least it didn't. I mean, it did kind of break. It did have its own formula too, because at the end they fight at the in a big sky thing. There is a big fight at the end. But I think because it opens with such an interesting and different idea, especially compared to its predecessors or future siblings of shows, it's kind of like innovative. I'm like, WandaVision. I only remember the good stuff about WandaVision. I have to be reminded.
It's kind of like
that,
Loki. I remember I bitched about the third
Loki.
episode, the Endless Walk episode, but I liked Loki. In the end, I liked Loki.
At the end, it felt like, I mean, not just the fact that it introduces Kang, but like it also is like, here is
He Who Remains.
Excuse me. But like it felt exciting and earned, and it was set up, but also payoff. Like Loki nailed it. You know, we're still chasing that dragon.
I don't know. And like, I like this show at the end, but I do feel like the first 3 episodes probably could have been 1.5. Like this could, like, especially if this is 30 minutes, if you condense those first 3 episodes, which were like basically 2.5 hours down to like an hour and a half, and then threw this onto it, that's 2 episodes.
The reality is, if you can make at the end of the day, when the show is over, if you can make a 2.5-hour movie out of it, you failed.
Yeah. What was the one they did that for? What was the latest one they did?
Obi-Wan.
Because I still haven't finished Obi-Wan. I was excited for Obi-Wan. We got like 3 episodes in, and I'm like, it's going nowhere.
Yeah. I gotta get that movie because I want to try that. I know there's like at least 2 or 3 cuts of that movie. But there's a bunch of. I mean, the reality is, you could make a Moon Knight movie. You could make all the Falcon Winter Soldier could easily be a movie, though. I would be sad to lose scenes. Like, with that show, I liked it a lot. Like, even like the scenes that I still like
the boat scenes. I know I complain.
The boat scenes are great. I know.
With the show complete, I can look back at the boat scenes and appreciate them.
Exactly.
I think part of the problem with a lot of these scenes, like the boat scenes, or even the first 2 episodes of Nick Fury, is you're waiting for the MCU, and they're trying something new, which is more drawn out, and we kind of pinpoint a lot of the problems as we're watching, as opposed to just watching it in one sitting and being able to reflect on what was important. One that we all like. I still stand by. I think it's a crappy sitcom, but She-Hulk. The problem with She-Hulk at the end of the day isn't that, oh my God, it's a different type of movie, or the humor's terrible, or the writers. None of that matters. You know what? You know what was the problem with She-Hulk at the end of the day?
What's that?
None of it linked together. None of it mattered at the end of it. At the end of it, they decided to finally do a She-Hulk thing, and they made the whole series irrelevant, and you never have to watch it again. My
issue with She-Hulk, notwithstanding, is just that I don't think that anyone was written terribly compelling. Like, I don't think, like, even by sitcom standards, everyone but She-Hulk was like incredibly wooden and
I don't remember the only guy I remember other than She-Hulk, the only person, is the drip guy. I got my own drip guy because I thought he was funny.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the breakout character was the girl who hooks up with Wong. You know what I mean?
Oh, I remember her, but I don't remember these things unless you tell me about them.
Exactly.
All of my complaining about Moon Knight aside, I still remember most of Moon Knight. Right. I remember what I hated, what I loved. I do
remember a lot of Moon Knight, despite my issues with Moon Knight.
Same thing with Falcon Winter Soldier. Regardless of my issues, I remember a lot of Falcon Winter Soldier. I still remember Loki. Those ones stand out to me.
Yeah,
And
I
it's,
haven't
as
watched
time
any
goes
Loki,
on,
but I remember a lot of it. Yeah.
you know what I don't remember much of? She-Hulk. I don't remember much of it at this point. I don't remember what actually
No.
happened. And the problem is because there was no like through line at the ending to pull it all together.
No.
The ending, they just made up a bullshit like, oh, look, they stole your blood and made this. Oh, wouldn't that be a terrible story? Yeah, why are you doing it? Even acknowledging it doesn't make it a better story.
Exactly. I mean, throwing it away is fine, but then that also throws away any semblance of whatever the plot was supposed to be throughout this entire series. Like, the problem is with this show, with many shows, like I want to like Secret Invasion more than I do, but I also still appreciate when it's good. Like when it's good, it's good. Solid, capital G. When it's not good, it's just kind of boring. It's not even bad. But when you have scenes where you have like really good actors, or you have actors who are hungry and want to like prove themselves or do something really cool, or just you want to do a spy movie in the MCU and you go, look, we don't have the budget for like, we can't have them impersonate Captain America, Iron Man. Like we can't have a big scene like that, but they are going to try to take over the world, but it's all going to be very subtle. Okay, cool. It better be written like Aaron Sorkin, like level.
Yeah.
It better be really.
That's where you get your
break
A+
the
writers
mold.
out.
Like, and it's like, and not to like disparage the production team, but like everyone from the writing to the director of the show have worked on 4 things, and I've never heard of any of them. And that's not indicative of quality, but it does mean that like they don't have as much experience. And I don't know what the whole trend is right now. I've heard cynically that the trend of big studios grabbing independent filmmakers is because they can then push them around, because independent filmmakers don't know the business well enough to know to say no or to argue against like bigger guns at studios. So, you know, that's why they lose their identity when they're making these big budget products, even though when you're watching them, you're like, why is this person who's known for this really cool independent thing that has a real voice making this big thing, and it's all gross and homogenized? And it's like, because they have to listen to these suggestions. They don't know to say no. But like, I don't know. It just feels like if you're making Secret Invasion and you've known you're making Secret Invasion for the past 3 years, you get the best of the best. Especially, it was like when I remember being frustrated as a kid. This is a very weird tangent, but like as a kid, I couldn't wait for Star Wars Episode 1 because I couldn't wait to see all the Jedi that were going to show up. And I always had this idea in my head that they were going to get like, they were going to stunt cast the Jedi Council because we were going to see a lot of them. They were all going to die, obviously. But like George Lucas was richer than God at that point in my mind. And so it was like, oh, so every Jedi will be like Sean Connery, you know, like Ian McKellen, like every Jedi on the council will be this like AAA tier actor who will say like really stupid crap about the Force or whatever, but who cares, because like it's supposed to invoke this like idea of like Knights of the Round Table. And they didn't do it. And they didn't do it in like such a like other direction swing that I'm like, but what's the point of having all the money and power if you don't use it to make big, expensive, ridiculous things? And especially when these things that you're making that aren't as exciting and important, they're still big and expensive.
Yeah.
You know, like Secret Invasion, you have all the money, you have all the actors, you have all the experience. Like you could get whoever you want to write it, to direct it, to star in it. And they don't.
Yeah.
And that's always a surprise, and it's always frustrating to me.
Like,
and I'm not saying that it needs to be.
What I don't understand about Secret Invasion, I stand by the statement. Why didn't you hire Eddie? Why didn't you get the Hawkeye guys, Clint Barton, like and Kate Bishop? Get them to show up, and then we question which one of them's a Skrull. You know, be like, why didn't we get Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan to show up?
Right.
Like even as background, just film them for like, hey, we'll give you a $200 day rate to show up. We're gonna film like you to put you on the news.
Yes.
Like,
or even just connect them. You know, we could see the Hawkeye chase scene on the news, or you know what I mean? Just like, because they did that with freaking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Netflix shows. Like they referenced Defenders in S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep.
But they can't do this. You know, and
I mean, it goes all the way back to the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Why did we not see a CG Spider-Man swing overhead? Oh no, it was the end of Hawkeye. It was
in Hawkeye that should have happened, and in Winter Soldier when Sebastian Stan walks out of the bar, he just looks up at the city.
Yeah.
Would have been really cool. I heard they couldn't do it. I heard that they were like, they basically got pushback. And when I say pushback, I don't mean from Sony. That Disney was like, no. Like just, it's so frustrating to me when people have like means and advantage and they don't use it like to make things cool and exciting. And instead they just don't, you know, they just push back. You know,
we don't get a replacement. We just don't get it.
Instead of getting a crappier version of what we want, we get nothing.
Like, okay, Spider-Man can't show up. Well, you straight up own Iron Man. Why not just have a CG suit fly?
War
over it?
Machine, Ironheart, anybody. How about nothing? How about we keep the shot?
Yeah.
And he just looks up at the sky.
I remember the big deal that the writers said when they put Daredevil into the ending of She-Hulk, and they're like, I can't believe they let us do this.
Right, right. But like, that's what the show should be. That's what this is. That's what the MCU should be. They're like, I can't believe we get to do this. I mean, that being said, even with She-Hulk, they were like, here are like 7 different crazy bottom of the barrel characters that we're just gonna like show you in full costume, like Porcupine Man. And it's like, that's like, I have to give you points for that. And Secret Invasion is like, I'm sorry, but if you like, no one wants a heady, droll, not droll, dry spy thriller starring Samuel L. Jackson more than me, especially if it's an hour an episode, except for this episode. But like, I want it to be the best it can be. Right. And I know it could be better. And I know that you're doing it on purpose, but I don't know what that purpose is besides just not doing it, just being like, I have all this money and advantage, and I'm just going to choose not to. And that's like having power. It's just weird to me. And I know that we spent the latter half of this episode just complaining about Secret Invasion. I think it could be better, and that's why it's always like in the back of the mind. Review.
I like the show. That's why you and I are still here. Husson,
I'm watching the show.
You and I like it. I was looking forward. I watched it last night, and I looked forward to watching it. I was like, all right, here we go. Let's see what's gonna happen next. You know, like we left off at the reveal of the wife. I want to see what's gonna happen to the wife.
Totally, and it paid off. They did a good job.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that. They did a really good job with Rhodey's turn. I liked that a lot. I really enjoyed the action sequence. Talos's dramatic finale. I was like, he's dead. He is actually dead. There's no way they sold that in this way for him not to be dead.
yeah. And I get it. Like the scene with Talos and Gaia on the bench. Obviously, they're like, we want you to think like Deep Throat. We want you to think like, you know, all the President's Men. We want you to think of these things. And it worked. It was a really good scene, but it was also like, you know, it was what was there, you know, what was said, you know, not what was not said, which is what acting is. But it's also sad because I was like, yeah, you know what? Talos is completely out of touch. He's a complete idiot. Like he completely doesn't get it. Like he really drank the Kool-Aid on Nick Fury or on what Nick Fury sold him. I mean, like there's a great moment on the train in the previous episode where Fury's like, we don't have enough room. And I'm like, well, you've been harboring 1 million Skrulls so far, and you have an entire country for Asgard. So I feel like you could, but also like this is the first time hearing of this. Like you said, we would be able to do this no matter what. Then suddenly I'm like, I need your help, and he's like, nah, man, we're not going to do that at all.
Yeah,
and it's just like that should have been the big moment for Talos of like, oh my god, like I've none of this is real. Like I've been living a lie my entire life, or at least the latter part of the last 30 years. Right. But yeah, which is cool. And I guess it's a fitting end for Talos because it's just like you were told you were wrong and irrelevant by your daughter, who is going to become the new leader of the Skrulls, but they're going to be super aggressive and evil. Congratulations. Actually, okay.
I know we theorized that you just got to think, what if this is to make the Skrulls actually evil? Because they're just goofy Muppets right now.
Right. Well, they were in Captain Marvel, right? You're like, oh man. I remember when they were like, ladies and gentlemen, Skrulls will be Captain Marvel. We were like, sweet. And they were like, oh no. And I'm like, what? Why is it a joke? Like everything. And then, but like this could be, because Secret Invasion really is the culmination of the Skrulls. But if you want to go in reverse order, you could set up the Kree Skrull War with this. That the Kree and the Skrulls are fighting over a planet. Like, you could redo Secret Invasion, or at least you could, because I mean, there's 1 million Skrulls, right? It's not like at the end of this movie they're going to release a virus that's going to kill all the Skrulls. You know, like they're still going to exist. So what are we going to do with it? Well, they leave. They have a war with the Kree. They somehow at the end of the war get their own planet, and then it'll get eaten by Galactus, and there'll be fewer Skrulls than ever. And that's not knowing that's going to happen, but thinking, gee whiz, you actually have like a lived-in world that has payoff. That's cool. Like, I actually kind of will give them props if they manage to pull off even
don't think
a conflict with the. Yeah,
I think this is going to resolve the Skrulls, and they're going to be gone. They're going to get thrown to the side with the Inhumans, where Marvel's like, well, they didn't sell one thing, so we're out.
Yeah, and it's like, just because it doesn't work this time doesn't mean it can't work again, or doesn't mean that you don't have a better idea and use it later. I think that I don't think anyone's going to go see. I mean, depending on the Jonathan Major situation,
Okay.
Avengers Kang Dynasty could very easily just be Avengers the Kree Skrull War, and you get whoever you were going to contract for the Kang Dynasty, and instead of being in time, they're going to space. And they team up with, and we need to go to space. Who do we need? The legendary Star-Lord.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and they go, and you have a really fun adventure in space with the Kree and the Skrulls and the Avengers in the middle. I mean, clearly there's no script for Kang Dynasty.
There can't be. It was going to be. They said it was writing it, and they fired him.
Yeah,
so,
fired. And also, no one can write anything right now. So, you might as well just retool it. Does it make Kevin Feige look silly at San Diego Comic-Con last year going, ladies and gentlemen, if you have to change the graphic, but they did the same thing for Serpent Society. I know it was a misdirect, but still, just be like, nah, it wasn't Kang Dynasty. We're just kidding.
But I'm going to wrap it up here because now we're just getting
Good
more
idea.
and more theory crafting, and I got to go get a haircut because they're going to shave my head bald. Anyway, thank you guys for watching today's episode of Absolutely. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know your thoughts on Secret Invasion Episode 4 and the current state of MCU TV. Like, it's kind of... The show has become us just discussing MCU TV every week.
It just reminds us of it. It's like I'm very acutely aware because we've seen every spectrum. Like, we've seen like super CG and we've seen like spy drama. So now we know what they're capable of or what they're willing to do. It's like the envelope ain't been pushed. I'll tell you that.
No, definitely not. But all right, I'm Benny. That is Sal. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell right here at Absolutely, and we'll see you next time right here.